As children grow, they not only come to understand more about themselves, but also begin to evaluate this information. Participation in school activities or on athletic teams encourage children to compare themselves with their peers and with their own ideas of who they want to be. This self-evaluation often brings a mix of good news and bad. As children start to recognize their strengths and weaknesses, as well as their positive and negative attributes. Just like self knowledge, self evaluation develops as children mature and is influenced by both cognitive and socialization factors. For instance, a child might feel proud of their ability to solve math problems quickly, but might also feel disappointed if they struggle with reading. These evaluations help children form a more complete and nuanced understanding of themselves, shaping their self esteem and guiding their personal growth. Measuring self esteem. Self esteem or self worth is how a person assesses and feels about themselves. The concept of the looking glass self, which is based on an individual's belief about how others perceive them, and the idea of competence, which combines what a person wants to achieve and feels capable of achieving, have been central to developmental literature for some time. This evaluation and the effects are most often measured through questionnaires. While some researchers use a global self-esteem score, others suggest that self-evaluation can be domain-specific. For example, a child's view on their social skills might differ from the evaluation of their academic abilities. One widely used technique, the self-perception profile for children, measures self-esteem across 5 domains: scholastic competence, athletic competence, social acceptance, behavioral conduct, and physical attractiveness. For adolescents, the scale also includes close friendship, romantic appeal, and job competence. Each item on the questionnaire presents two related statements, one describing a competent child and the other a less competent child. The child completing the instrument selects the statement that best describes them and then indicates whether the statement is really true for me or sort of true for me. For children between the ages of 4 and 7, Hatta modifies the self-perception profile to create the pictorial scale of perceived competence and social acceptance. This scale uses pictures to help young children express their self-concepts. For example, one item might show a picture of a girl who is good at puzzles on the left and a girl who is not as good at puzzles on the right. The child then points to the circle, indicating whether the picture is a little like her, small circle, or a lot like her, large circle. This approach helps capture the nuances of young children's self-esteem in a way that is accessible and understandable for them. Another principal measure of the self is the self-description questionnaire, developed by Herbert Marsh and colleagues. This measure is based on the belief that individuals develop a multidimensional and hierarchical self-concept. Different versions have been created for preschoolers, pre-adolescents, adolescents, and young adults. The version for 4 to 5 years olds uses an interview procedure where the child is first asked a simple yes or no question such as: can you run fast? Do you like the way you look? Do you have lots of friends? Do your parents smile at you a lot? Are you good at counting? After answering yes or no, the child is then asked to clarify whether they mean yes no always or yes no sometimes. This approach helps preschoolers distinguish among different aspects of the self concept, including physical ability, appearance, relationship with peers, relationship with parents, verbal skills, and math skills. The developmental progression of self esteem. In the early years, preschool and young children typically enjoy relatively high self esteem. They see the world with wide eyed wonder and confidence. However, as they enter the primary school years, there can be dips in self esteem. This period is marked by new social comparison and challenges, but self esteem generally stabilizes through the middle childhood years. As children transition into early adolescence, they often experience another dip in self esteem. This stage brings increased self consciousness and more critical self evaluations. The decrease in self esteem during early adolescence is also linked to the biological changes of puberty and the significant transition to a new school environment. Interestingly, females appear to be at greater risk for this dip in self esteem. Gender differences in self esteem. Boys and girls show different patterns and measures of self esteem. Boys tend to have more consistent self esteem across various domains, while girls, despite generally rating themselves positively, often evaluate their physical appearance and athletic skills more negatively. This trend is observed consistently across different age groups and societies. For girls, the decline in self esteem related to physical appearance begins as early as fourth grade and continues through high school. This ongoing struggle with self image can be influenced by social pressures and the changes that come with adolescence. Academic self concept. While academic self concept isn't relevant before children start school, even by age 3, kids show a preference for activities where they can win rather than lose. As children enter kindergarten, their perception of their academic abilities are at their highest, but this confidence tends to decrease during the elementary school years. Carol Dweck identified two distinct responses to failure: mastery orientation and helplessness. Mastery oriented children, when faced with failure, maintain positive expectation and persist in their efforts. In contrast, helpless children respond to failure with doubt and avoidance. Over time, the academic performance of mastery-oriented children improves, while that of helpless children remains low. Helpless children often tie their self-worth to the approval of others. If they fail at something, they develop low expectation, show low persistence, and avoid similar situations in the future. On the other hand, children with the mastery orientation believe that they can learn from their experiences whether they succeed or fail. Remarkably, even 4 years old can exhibit patterns of persistence or helplessness. By the age of 10, children have developed their own theories about intelligence. Some children adhere to an entity model, viewing intelligence as a fixed and unchangeable trait. Others adopt an incremental model, believing that intelligence can grow with learning and experience. The helpless pattern is often associated with the entity model, where children believe that failure is due to a lack of ability. In contrast, the mastery orientation is linked to the incremental model, where children see success or failure as a result of their own effort. Interestingly, girls are more likely to display the helpless pattern and attribute failure to a lack of ability. How caregivers respond to children's successes and failures plays a crucial role in shaping these patterns. Carol Dweck and her colleagues have found that criticisms focusing on stable traits can have a negative impact, while criticisms that target specific efforts can foster a mastery orientation. Similarly, praise that focuses on effort rather than an inherent trait encourages a growth mindset. Critiques of a child's specific strategies rather than their behaviors or the child as a whole are most effective. The same applies to strategy specific praise. As children grow older, their perception of their academic competence are increasingly influenced by social comparisons, how they measure their abilities against those of their peers. By second grade, a child's level of self-evaluation is positively correlated with the frequency of social comparison. This creates a bidirectional effect where self-image both influences and is influenced by the nature and extent of social comparison. Parental attitude, expectation, and behaviors are strong predictors of children's self-perceptions. Parental expectation shape children's academic self-concept in three key ways: through participation in school activities and helping with learning tasks, by providing structure and assistance tailored to the child's academic abilities, and by offering autonomy support. Warm and supportive fathers, in particular, play a crucial role in fostering a high academic self-concept in their children. Children with a high academic self-concept are more motivated to succeed, more persistent in their work, and more willing to take on challenging tasks. In contrast, children with low academic self-concept tend to be less motivated and less persistent.